all hell broke loose as a MAGA Republican Congress member Mike Lawler tried to pull a cruel stunt during a congressional hearing where he tried to demean the legacy of Alex Pretty and Renee Nicole Good. Now, Democratic Congress member Jamie Raskin wasn't having it, so Congress member Raskin told MAGA Republican Congress member Lawler to shut it. Lawler then started to yell at Congress member Raskin, and Raskin wasn't having it, and Raskin put Lawler in his place. A fight broke out in this congressional hearing. Let me show you what went down. Here, play this clip.
In this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support sanctuary
jurisdiction. Do you feel the outrage about Alex Pretty and Renee Good?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You don't belong in this committee.
Jamie.
You should get the hell out of here. You don't understand the rules of the committee. You don't understand the Constitution.
Mr.
Raskin,
Mr. Raskin, you're an absolute disgrace supporting sanctuary policy.
Say one word about
Get rid of sanctuary policy.
Alex Pretty.
I did. I wrote a whole New York Times op-ed about it. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for not opposing sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
Yeah. That was what just went down at that congressional hearing. I will show you more of that in just a moment, but let me share this with you as well. So during an adjacent congressional hearing, you had Democratic Congress member Pocan cross-examining Russell Vogt, who right now leads the Office of Management and Budget, one of the authors of Project 2025, one of the architects of destroying USAID, which has resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands and millions of people across the world. And Congressmember Pocan asks Russell Vogt this despicable thing, a very basic question. Watch for yourself.
You know, many of us disagree with the first time in 250 years history of the country, the unified executive theory. So let me drill into one area to ask. Do you concur that multiple studies have shown that people, both adults and children across the globe, have died because of cuts to programs like USAID?
I do not concur with the validity of those studies. They are based on
Do you agree that people have died across the globe because of our cuts?
I believe these studies that people are banting about.
My question is, do you believe people have died because of the cuts to USAID? It's simple, yes or no.
I do not believe that the administration.
You don't believe anyone's died?
Let me finish the question.
No, it's a yes or no.
It is.
Doctor, it's really simple. Do you think people died or not?
Cuts are aimed at.
All right, you're not going to answer it. I would claim my time. I thought you were going to be a little more helpful, Director Vogt, but that's fine. So this is Boston studies, Lancet studies. Others have said hundreds of thousands to millions of kids and adults will die because of this. One of your co-conspirators, Elon Musk, recently has been going nuts trying to claim no one's died, and he has to name names. So let me mention a few people who've died because of these cuts. Rovina Naboy in Kenya, her little daughter Jane, died of starvation in a refugee camp because we cut back on their food and the food rations. She got sick and died. Uganda Balama in Nigeria, USAID-funded program, babies a special nutrient-dense paste to avoid malnutrition. She had twins, 6 months old. The program ended abruptly because of cuts to USAID. 2 weeks later, one of the twins died. I've got a bunch more. Are you familiar with any of these stories?
13.4 million for civic engagement.
Are you familiar with any of these stories? There's no number involved in that answer, Director Vogt.
You're citing.
Are you familiar with any of these stories? I just gave you 2 examples. Are you familiar? It's a yes or no.
I am familiar.
Don't dance. You're not a tap dancer. Are you familiar with the stories? It's really that simple.
I am familiar with the press that you are citing. The reports that you are also referring to are
I take my time back. You're clearly not going to answer questions today. I thought you came to answer questions. You're not.
More powerful cross-examination from Democratic Congressmember Pocan, who says, hey, Vogt, you said being a Christian nationalist is not a bad thing. You've written articles that we should be talking positively about Christian nationalism and that it's, quote, gotten a bad rap. So let me ask you some questions about you being a Christian nationalist and your declaration that you are part of a Christian nationalist movement. Great cross-examination here by Congressmember Pocan. Play this clip.
Oh, you are a Christian nationalist by declaration, by articles.
Second year in a row that you've used that slander for
it's
me
not slander.
And
you think that's slander?
You and other Christians.
Do you think calling someone a Christian nationalist is a slander? You wrote an article. Is there anything actually wrong with Christian nationalism? And now you're saying it's a slander? That's really odd.
I don't. Pejorative, and it's the second year you've done it.
Would you agree that it is wrong, morally, ethically, or by your own admission, biblical standards? Is it wrong to facilitate the death of children?
We're not doing that. We have adequate foreign aid for this.
You're not answering the question. Listen to the question, please. Is it morally, ethically, or biblically wrong to facilitate the death of children? Don't take anything else in context. Is it wrong?
This administration is not doing that.
You cannot answer a question. I mean,
I believe he answered the question. You just don't like the answer. So
no, he hasn't. No, Mr. Chairman, you can ask your own questions and get your own answers, but if he's not going to give an answer,
then move on.
Everyone else can figure out. No, I don't have to move on. I can ask the question, and if this guy is going to, one, say Christian nationalism is an insult, you might have some friends to answer to that one for, but to say the sort of stuff and not answer questions directly, it is morally, ethically, and biblically wrong to facilitate the death
5
of
minutes
children.
are up. Now recognize the chair. Recognize me.
Even more cross-examination here by Pocan, who says, well, can we agree and stipulate to the following, that morally, what's your view about killing children? Are you pro-killing children or are you against killing children? To which Russell Vogt responds, but don't you think it's wrong that we contribute to civic engagement in Zimbabwe? And then Democratic Congressmember Pocan is like, what are you even talking about? Is this like a Confucius line? What do you even mean? And let me just say this. What would be bad about contributing to civic engagement in Zimbabwe? That's your example of, we need to kill children. That's Donald Trump's agenda. He's a child killer, and depriving people of USAID and starving people to death because of civic engagement in Zimbabwe. Here, play this clip right here.
Time back, please. Morally, isn't it wrong to facilitate the death of children?
Isn't it morally wrong to
That's a question coming back with
Zimbabwe?
Look, you're not Confucius or whatever you think you are, answering the question with a question. I said, is it morally wrong to facilitate the killing of children?
You're basing
simple question.
You're basing it on a premise that is false. I'm not going to answer that question.
Take my time back. You wrote in
Then we had Democratic Congress member Ivey cross-examining Vogt about the cost to the American taxpayers of the Trump regime changing the Defense Department to the Department of War. It will cost at least $125 million to do a name change. So while they're ripping away your health care, while you can't afford a home, while you can't afford groceries, while you can't afford gas, they're out there spending your taxpayer dollars so Pete Hegseth can beat his chest, say that he runs the War Department while firing some of our top generals and admirals and military leaders because Hegseth is such a small, pathetic human that he can't handle competent, real leaders. Play this clip.
Last week at one of the appropriations markups, there was a discussion. I know you're using the phrase Department of War instead of Department of Defense. But we were told that the CBO said it's going to cost $125 million to change the name from Department of Defense to Department of War. Do you agree with that estimate?
We haven't done our own estimate at OMB on the cost, but it's something that I think makes common sense. It's what the department was called for most of our nation's history.
I'm focused on the amount.
The National Defense Authorization that's moving through renamed
the nomenclature concerns me less from an appropriations committee standpoint than the fact that we're going to spend $125 million or so. You're not challenging the number, but
I said we haven't looked. We haven't taken our own assessment.
But that's a lot of money, and we spent a lot of time hearing that a lot of the needs that we'd like to fund, we didn't have the money to fund. So with that, I yield back.
Then we had Congresswoman DeLauro cross-examining Vogt. Here, play this clip for yourself.
Will you commit to us here today that you will carry out our spending laws as Congress intended through appropriations and reconciliations as they were enacted or not?
Obviously, we will take and make sure that we're spending money where you intend us to spend money. At the same time, I'm not going to.
No, that is where. No, the answer to that then is no.
I'm not going to take a tool off the table.
You are not going to spend the money that Congress, in a bipartisan way, enacts. Yes, you did.
No, I
yield my time back.
Let me go back and show you the full video right now one more time of Jamie Raskin and MAGA Republican Congress member Mike Lawler having this fight because Lawler started attacking Renee Nicole Good and Alex Pretty, and the MAGA Republicans wanted to have this hearing to demean immigrants and try to say immigrants are the ones killing everybody. They're the ones responsible for all of the crime and violence. That's what they wanted to do. And Raskin wasn't having it and saying, don't you dare demean the legacy of Pretty and Renee Nicole Good. Let's watch the full clip right here.
So while some of my colleagues may not want to hear the truth, the same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Pretty, you should feel about Sheridan Gorman and Laken Riley and every Angel family in this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support sanctuary jurisdiction.
Do you feel the outrage about Alex Pretty and Renee Good? You should be ashamed. You don't belong in this committee. You should get the hell out of here. You don't understand the rules of the committee. You don't understand the Constitution.
You're a disgrace.
Mr. Raskin,
you're an absolute disgrace supporting sanctuary policies.
Say one word about
Get rid of
Alex Pretty.
I did. I wrote a whole New York Times op-ed about it. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for not opposing sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
The committee will be in order.
Mr. Chairman,
More from Congress member Pocan right here, asking vote a very simple question. Would you agree that how much money have we spent on the war? Over $100 billion, right? That's why you need an $80 billion supplemental, because you've run out of money. To which vote goes, I think it's only about $30 billion. They just lie. And Congressmember Pocan is like, okay, you're a liar. So when we find out you're lying, we'll say that was perjury. Okay, here, play this clip.
Do you know how much we spent on the war in Iran so far?
We've spent about $30 billion.
$30 billion? So I'm going to hold you to that because people are saying it's more like $100 billion.
Well, I'm just telling you what I've heard from the Department of War and the analysis that they've given us.
Okay. I'm just going to remember today, June 30th, 2026, you're saying as of today, $30 billion is what we spent.
That's the number that I have.
No, I appreciate that.
So you're maybe wondering, Ben, what are the MAGA Republican Congress members doing? MAGA Republican Congress member Chuck Edwards, here's what he had to say.
I can only imagine the complications. I take it somewhat personal and offensive that you were treated so disrespectfully earlier in our conversation regarding USAID. I think that we all can agree that every loss of an innocent life is a tragedy.
And to be fair, another MAGA Republican Congress member, who heads this committee was asking vote, okay, can you do us a favor? Do you plan to show us like a report on what DOGE did so we can assess why is it that federal spending has increased? Why is the deficit increasing? Why have we compounded more debt? Didn't you say DOGE was supposed to stop this? And didn't you promise that there would be DOGE dividend checks to people, that DOGE was so successful there would be Americans would get $5,000 each, would get a dividend. And then Trump's budget director, the head of the Office of Management and Budget goes, we have no plans on issuing a report on DOGE. Really? No plans? You don't want to share with us what the hell you all did because you know it was a disaster and you screwed everything up. So you just want to hide it. Play this clip.
I noticed for the recent budget that DOGE was pretty much eliminated. Is there something that you're going to present, or is there somewhere we can find what exactly DOGE accomplished as far as reductions in dollars spent, people at agencies or whatever? Is there going to be some documentation of what took place?
I mean, we have no plans to do kind of a closing DOGE report. Mm-hmm. We're always happy to give you our assessment of that work. I think it made some really important strides. You all passed many of the reductions that DOJ found just through the normal appropriations process when you ended the year so much lower than the year before. We did some of that in the rescissions package. And so many of the fruits of their labor are sprinkled all across the government. But I'm always happy to work with you on what you feel like you need.
And then in the other room, there was a press conference with one of the top leaders of the MAGA Republican Party, Steve Scalise, who says, actually, we're going through a golden age. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but like the golden age is right now. Here, play this clip.
On the other side, this is a country that's actually experiencing a golden age again. I mean, gas prices are down 50 cents from where they were just a few weeks ago and continuing to go down. Affordability is back again. And Democrats are upset about that because they wanted it as a talking point for November.
And then finally, you have MAGA Mike Johnson saying, I'm aware that Donald Trump is not signing the housing affordability bill, which we did on a bipartisan basis. But it's very complicated stuff for him to go through all of this. So you will deal with it later, But obviously for Donald Trump, suppressing people's votes is a more important issue than having people afford housing. Here, play this clip.
Yeah, it is. The president has a lot going on, and I think it's safe to say he's not read through every line of that piece of legislation. It's a lot to it, and a lot of great things, and he and I have spoken about it quite a bit. He understands all the dynamics here, what he was saying, and the legislation. But what he was saying is, in comparison to ensuring election integrity, which is now represented by the Save America Act, nothing is as important because you cannot maintain a constitutional republic unless you have free and fair elections. A government of, by, and for the people is ultimately and foundationally dependent upon that. That's what the president is saying. We all agree with that. And by the way, so do the American people. And that's not to say that there are not also incredibly important issues, and the cost of living and affordability is among them. It's top of mind. I've spent 6 hours in the Oval Office just in the last few days. I think 4 hours on Thursday, over 2 hours yesterday. We talked about all this in great length. The president certainly understands the importance of affordable housing. As he's noted yesterday, he knows as much about housing as anybody because that, in many respects, was part of his portfolio and career.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. We appreciate you for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.